Dateline, Washington, Friday, 30 May. Alright, this is a conversation that we've needed to have for a fairly long time. Do I know how to say that in sign language? No, I don't. And it doesn't matter anyway. Why does it not matter? Because it's not 1956 and closed captions exist. I know what a mind-blowing piece of news this is. In any event, the National Association for the Deaf is suing the Trump administration due to their intolerable decision to no longer have a sign language interpreter on the screen during White House press briefings. And if you find yourself flipping back in your mental calendar and thinking, you know, it seems like Democrat presidents always have the sign language person on the screen and Republican presidents never do. I wonder why that is. Well, that's not an accident, because that's actually the way it's gone since, well, before this century began. And why is that? Well, it's called pandering to an intersectional advocacy group, which, as you may have heard, the Democrats tend to be much more able practitioners of than the Republicans. But I did think it was fascinating over the course of the 4 years of the Biden administration just how many sign language interpreters they managed to get through. Like, it was faster than Chris Christie and Jerry Nadler could get through the world's last box of jelly donuts. It was really quite amazing, and I think I'm probably not the only one who remembers the looks of terror and desperation and sometimes near suicidal despair on the faces of those sign language interpreters as they tried their very level best to figure out what words the president was trying to make come out of his face hole. I imagine it's a lot like being an air traffic controller. People just can't handle the stress. It drives them to drink, and they have to swap you out for somebody else with less frazzled nerves. Like 5 weeks later, they quietly ship you off to a little sanatorium somewhere, or they put you in a straitjacket and gloves so you can't talk sign language to anybody. Which reminds me of an old Helen Keller joke. How did Helen Keller's parents punish her when she talked back? They made her wear mittens. And look, if you get the impression that I'm not all that upset over the plight of these sign language interpreters, it's because I'm totally not. I don't know about anybody else, but I've kind of always found sign language interpreters a bit too smug and self-satisfied for my taste. Like they're waving it in the faces of actual deaf people, like, ha 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 ha, my ears work, plus I speak your language better than you do, so suck on that, buddy. In fact, I got this job just because it's such a wonderful advantage, being able to hear sounds and not be a deaf person. Like, seriously? Do they have to be so overbearing and obnoxious and trying so hard to call attention to themselves all the time? Because you know what? Here comes a couple of uncomfortable news flashes. Number one, most people are not deaf. Number two, a sign language interpreter on the screen is really incredibly distracting for a vast majority of the viewing public. Number three, closed captions exist, and they are really damn good most of the time. I bet the YouTube live captions on this very video are just as good as any sign language interpreter is. But again, if you're trying to do a real-time Joe Biden to English translation, neither one is really able to achieve anything close to 50% accuracy. We just don't have the technology yet. I heard that's going to be Elon's next project, actually. He's going to build the world's first viable Biden to English translator. And will it cost more than putting men on the surface of Mars? Yeah, it probably will. But you know what the really depressing thing is? That's the end of the roundup. So now it is that time again when I hand you off to my distinguished colleague, your illustrious co-host, a man who demonstrates by his very existence that large furry hominid fatigue is not and shall never be a thing. The one and only, your friend and mine, Mr. Caucasian Sasquatch.